When you were a kid, what did you dream about coming? Now ask yourself how many of those dreams were really yours and how many belong to the people you were around. That's the question, isn't it? We always tell our kids what to become, who to become, and I figured I would explore this situation. All we can do is teach them, and eventually they have to find out who they really are. That goes for anything. You can tell them anything, everything, and tell them to do anything. Um, but are those your dreams for them, or is that their dreams? You have to let them become who they're going to become, because you're not going to be there all the time. You know, I had that over my head for the longest time. I had to figure out the hard way. You see, all through my life, I was told I was a smart one. I was the one that was going to change the family. I had that over my head for the longest time. It started when I was 4, by dad passing away. I made a promise to him and I've kept it. I've done it. Not in the way that he would do it or my uncles would do it. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Because, but that dream doesn't always come the way you think it's going to. I was born in 1984, guys. None of this technology existed. As I was laying on my dad's chest, he'd never think I would do it something like this. I put it in my podcast. I put it in my poems. I talked about it. But I also have my own dreams for myself. It's to prove that I can do it, that I can achieve everything that I want to. I've brought this up before. Sorry for the buffering, guys. I've brought up the picture that's behind on this side of me, that side of me. If you believe it, you can achieve it. Back when that picture was taken, I was fixing to go off to the military. I really did want to do it, but and I had my doubts. I had my doubts then because I didn't know if this and this were ready for that kind of commitment, and it wasn't. And it wasn't just because you know I had my doubts before I went. And I want to tell you this part of my life. Maya's mom, she rubbed in my face and she told people, well, he shouldn't even have went because he was having doubts. Yeah, I was having doubts, but was not her place to put that all out there. And when I came back, people were running their mouth about me. And I went through that shit, caused a lot of depression, caused a lot of anxiety. Coming back home and facing I failed. And it wasn't from my family. It was from the person that I supposedly loved. I'm going to talk about this because it's just something that I need to talk about and explain it. What I learned through all that, my parents could have never taught me that. There I go, dropping again. Sorry, guys. It's our internet. I'm hoping. But anyway, guys. Uh, you know, that's the problem is people will have these expectations of you. And we have expectations of our kids. Sorry guys, I'm checking internet. Um but that was hard on me. Um I could not have learned what true heartbreak was. Guys, my internet. Ugh. Anyway, but I went through that. I went through, I should have been really smart on some of the stuff. It cost me the relationship of my daughter because of things. Do I wish they would have turned out different? Yeah. But I couldn't have never ever learned that. And to this day, I don't have a relationship with my daughter. And a lot of that turned anger too. Gave me a lot of rage, a lot of heartbreak. It really did. So my parents could not have taught me that. I had to go through that to become who I am now. We're curious from the time we're born. I've got a scar on my hand somewhere right here. Can't see it on camera. My brother told me the story of it. I was being a kid, and my mom and my nanny were cooking, and I was in there. I don't know how old I was. Burnt in my hand. It didn't give me any, bad burn, but there's a scar there from it. That scar reminds me every time I do something hot. I just recently got a new hot glue gun. And for it being a battery powered, that thing burns. I'm almost scared to use the thing. That's how hot it gets. We told Stacy she's not going to use it. We do everything that our parents tell us not to. That's the curiosity part of us. We taste everything. I don't remember anything that I ate when I was a baby, but I remember things that Stacy and Thomas and Caden, especially Caden and Stacy, They ate everything. Stacy loved all the vegetables, all the nasty meat ones. Now she's so picky it's not even funny. Caden eats everything in the house, of course. Thomas is Thomas. He did this. I mean, you grow, your taste buds change too. They ask why on everything, and they want you to give them an answer. Caden, boy, that kid. Why is the sky blue? Why do clouds move? Why is the grass green, Daddy? All those questions that he used to ask me. Stacy did too, but Caden was really bad about it. He'd be driving down the road and ask me all kind of weird crap questions. And he'd wake me up and ask me questions. To this day, he don't ever call me unless he has a question. And then he gives me a long form question and he gets silent and so I know it's my time to talk. Stacy, on the other hand, just wants a quick answer, and then if you give her the wrong answer that she thinks is wrong, she'll tell her 2 cents into it. And it's always because your dad or your mom. Certain kids have such a different bond between their parents. Caden is very scientific and wants these long answers, these long flowing answers. I'm sure he would ask his mom the questions, but she's straight to the point and done with it. That's not how I do things. Any of y'all see my channel know this. I over explain, and I'll explain it again over time. Just who I am. I make it into a story. I make it into a life lesson. Steph's the same way, as she's quick to the point, and she will ask me questions. Like, we've talked about certain people in the family, and there's certain people in the family that I don't care for. I have my own opinion on them, but in the long run, it's her family. It's not my place, and I'm not going to talk the family members that don't know that I don't I don't give them my time when we do family get-togethers. I sit back and I let the said family members walk through each family member talking about certain things, and I sit back and just listen. And then when we do get together and those certain family members, I sit there and listen to the family members talk about behind how bad it is behind their back. I don't have that luxury. I don't have family to gossip with me. Kind of glad it's just me and my brother, because I'll talk crap behind my brother or to my brother's face. Quite funny, honestly. The Little Scientist. That was where I was in, and the questioner, but I was a little scientist, the philosopher, and the explorer. That was me. Actually, all that stuff's me. If you sit back and you listen to my channel and you listen to what I have to say, you can tell I'm deeply involved in that kind of stuff. And yet, yes, I put myself in that camp. There goes my... Did my internet just go down? Well, I went black. That's no bueno. Let me see if I can fix this. Internet
Internet
dropped,
dropped,
guys.
guys.
Sorry.
Sorry.
This is
This is
going to
gonna
be a
be a
fun
fun
one.
one.
Technical
Technical difficulties.
difficulties. But
But
anyway,
anyway,
I
I
was
was
that,
that,
and I
and I
still
still
am.
am.
The
The
person
person
your
your
kid
kid
is
is
essential
essential
to
to
who
who
they
they
are
are
deep
deep
down
down
inside.
inside.
You're,
You,
as a
as a
mom and
mom and
dad,
dad,
or
or
whatever
whatever
you
you
are
are
to
to
a
a
child,
child.
it's
It's
not up
not up
for
for
you to
you to
decide.
decide.
It's
It's
up
up
for
for
you
you
to
to
give
give
them
them
those
those tools.
tools. And by
And by
giving
giving
those
those
tools,
tools,
eventually
eventually
you
you
have to
have to
let
let
go.
go.
Stacy
Stacy
don't
don't
realize it.
realize it.
She's a
She's a
freshman
freshman
this
this
year,
year,
y'all.
y'all.
Her
Her
problems,
problems,
if
if
she
she
gets
gets
into the
into the
issue,
issue,
I'm
I'm
not
not
stepping
stepping
in.
in.
She's got
She's
to
got to
learn.
learn.
She's got
She's
to
got to
learn.
learn.
It's
It's
time for
time
her
for her
to.
to.
And
And
yes,
yes,
it's going
it's
to be
going to be
scary for
scary for
her.
her.
But
But
she's got to
she's got to
find out
find
who
out who
she
she
is.
is.
I
I
can't tell
can't
her
tell her
that.
that.
She's going to
She's going
make
to
the
make the
choices
choices
either
either
to
to
hang
hang
around the
around the
right
right
kids
kids
or
or
not.
not.
And she's
And
going
she's
to
going to
face those
face those
consequences.
consequences.
Caden
Caden
has,
has,
and he
and he
continues.
continues.
So
So
for
for
my
my
oldest
oldest
boy
boy
too,
too,
I got
I
to
got to
learn the
learn the
hard
hard
way.
way.
Learn
And
the
learn the
way
way
we all
we
do.
all do.
And
And
as a
as a
parent,
parent,
all I can
all
do
I
is
can do
sit
is sit
back
back
and
and
give
give
them
them
the
the
advice,
advice,
but
but
ultimately
ultimately
it's their
it's their
choice.
choice.
They
They
make that
make that
call.
call.
I'm
I'm
making that
making that
call
call
this
this
year.
year.
Mhm. Steph was telling me echoing. I think I fixed it. And that was fun. No echo? I guess not. Gotta learn to deal with problems like I just did now. I can't get mad at them. So, somewhere along the way, we didn't destroy the curiosity on purpose. But we replace it. And I was just thinking there, I was talking to Steph on the way home, and I think this is where. So I have rules, expectations, fear, shame, performance, and comparison. And we were driving home, and from any of y'all that's in the state of Texas, y'all know what's going on. Probably other states too. I'm a big believer in plant medicine. I think it has its place. But I also believe it's part of our, we should have that right. I'm gonna put this out there because I think I should. Alcohol. I've seen alcohol destroy so many people's lives. So many people's lives. But we'll give that green light for alcohol. And really, what really ticks me off is we have these bars and they're open till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the cops know this. So around the bars, they lock people up all the time because they're cashing in on it. But if you're sitting at the house not doing anything, you could still cause a problem. The rules. We become adults and we have these other people that depend and say no to things that are horrible. I'm not going to give you, I want to give you some medical, because I'm going to explain it. YouTube, go ahead, flag it. I don't really give a shit. But Steph's dad, basically alcohol induced dementia. He drank like a fish. And then one day, he just stopped drinking. And it robbed him from his B12 and other nutrients. Now, he's in a nursing home. We tried everything to keep him at home and couldn't because of alcohol. Because he self-medicated with it. A lot of people do. And I don't have a problem when you're drinking, guys. I don't. I'm not trying to give you hard times because I understand. I do. I understand that sometimes you drink because there's numerous reasons why. Just like there's numerous reasons we go to the doctors and we get on certain medications. But we have all these people that's supposedly older and wiser. And then what really ticks me off is these kids that are, you know, 17, 18, 19, 20. They get into some kind of enforcement and think they can tell me what to do. And I'm older and I have more life experience. Now, granted, I know that it doesn't work like that. We all say, oh, we got. No, somebody's always trying to tell somebody else what to freaking do. And that's why I've kind of allowed my kids to be who they are. I'll get onto them. Yeah, I get onto them. And I got onto them when they were younger. Everything you do, you learn something from. And talk about expectations. My family had these expectations of me. All these explanations. But those expectations look different. My expectations of my kids look different. They will look back at their life and they will see what holds up and what don't. We do that to our kids. And it puts anxiety on our kids. It puts depression. It puts so many things. And guys, I keep saying this because I have to, because it's YouTube. I've seen it over and over and over. The young population. I saw this right after I graduated high school with a few friends or acquaintances. I've seen it with the kids that my kids have been growing up with, and I hear these stories. And I'm talking to you parents too. Quit putting all these expectations on top of your kids. It's okay to guide them, but don't don't do it. And I'm talking to you church leaders too. I may not be in a church and I may not be leading things because, well, technically, you know, I'm not in the church anymore, but I've seen this. Stop putting expectations on your youth. You dads and mothers that are ministers supposed to know everything that you still don't, by the way. Stop putting the expectations on the kids. And stop bashing them for questioning or doing. Guys, we went out to the races the other night. For one, there was a 15-year-old race driving. I don't know if I could do that 15 years old because I just was starting to learn to drive. I don't think I could drive. Nope, not when I was that young. But you pastors and these y'all y'all are gonna destroy your youth. You're going to destroy you destroy what's them. But anyway, we stop in the Waterburger, and these kids are probably 16 because they're driving, and it's late. It's 12 o'clock at night. These kids don't have any home training and how to function in public. They're sitting there just at the front counter, and the dude, he's walking around, and he's not trying to ignore they're got a line in the drive-through because we just went through, and I just came in for picante sauce, and I'm sitting there watching, and I'm getting boiled up the way these kids are. And I just, they're wearing their Jesus shirts and living on mom and daddy's money. but they have no sense and courtesy. They're sitting there being loud, annoying, obnoxious, making the store look horrible. And their parents, they have no common decency. They don't have any class. They don't have any kind of respect. Granted, I was in the church scene, and I, to my best of remembering, I was very respectful. That was just something that was born in me. But those kids and have a sense of respect for people. And I'm sitting there watching them, and they know I'm watching them. And I really wanted to say, shut up and get out there and get your order taken and be respectful. But that's not my job. I just sat and watched. So that's what I have for that situation. Hmm. Did I touch base on that? All right. Here goes. Here goes this. Grades, sports, religion, politics, family expectations, and social media. Oh boy. Let's talk about grades. Stacy's report card. She hates school, guys. But she passed. But you can so tell the classes she liked and the classes she don't like. I'm hoping to see kind of in high school where her uh grades fall. Never really got an update on Thomas's grades. I just it's not my choice. Caden, on the other hand, Caden calls me all the time. I'm not gonna brag, but he knows my GPA was 3.79. And he calls and he's like, Dad, my GPA is this. I think his mom's kind of put that in his head that you gotta be smarter than your old man. I don't know. But he's I could have taken the advanced classes. Sure in the hell though couldn't take Spanish. I can't I don't even like my language. I can speak Chickasaw better than I can English. I sit there type and I don't have any kind of comma or period. And everybody's like, was that a question or was that a statement? And Stacy and them always say something and put a question mark, or say something, put a period, or something like that. I don't do that. Never have. I've always did run on sentences. Guys, if you ever get something from me and I don't put a question mark, period, my penmanship's great, but my grammar, and I think my grammar's got better. I've also gotten better at putting my thoughts together. If some of y'all seen some of my older videos, gotta keep looking back here. Grades are just numbers. I've told this to Caden. I've told this with Thomas and Stacy. Those grades are their numbers. They are not there to tell me how smart you are. Now, it could be how motivated you are and how much you care for that subject. I think that's more of I think that's more of the grade, because you can look at the grade and you can tell the kid either really likes it or really hates it. I think that's what the grade is. And I think that's how you can see how involved they are in something. Like my algebra, always low 70s. When it came to science or hands on stuff or that kind of stuff, my grades were great. English, I'm not going to go there with English. I don't. Sports, here we go. Sports. I guess this can go for other means of learning. I uh I played a I did one lesson with Taekwondo and I accidentally hit the sensei, and the sensei said, "That's your first strike. The next time I'm going to lay you out." Never again did I go back. I should have went back but I was scared half to death that I would accidentally hit the sensei again. Yeah, kind of put that on me. Cade and Stacy and Thomas, they're not too much sports. Stacy is doing choir and art. Caden is art. Thomas was choir and he wanted to be an English teacher, but that's a different story. Sports. If you kids you like sports, mm, great. But sports is it's very cliquish. Like my niece, she's a cheerleader, but she's not the preppy cheerleader. And they talk crap about her and she'll straight up tell them whatever how she feels too. Those two were kind of together. I'm gonna put religion and politics right here. I refuse to tell my kids who to believe, what religion to believe, which, I come out of Christianity. My kids know this. It's kind of not funny, but it's a story. When my cousin Dusty passed away, it was the first time I set foot back into a church from a long time of not being there. And I had already deconverted and all that stuff. But he wanted certain songs sang at his funeral. And I started word for word. I was repeating it. And I knew where they were going with it. The songs. They were looking at in their hymnals trying to find the song. And it was just coming out of my mouth and I noticed my boys, Stacy was sitting beside me, and uh their knee and elbow and stuff. They're like, Dad's not even using the songbook. And she tells them, this is where Dad came out of. This is, I grew up doing it. I was in the church. And my kids, their jaw just dropped. just because I am who I am, some of those songs still have a lot of meaning to me. I've seen the suffering. I suffer too on a daily basis. But they're looking at me like, Dad knows these songs? Yeah, I know these songs. Guys, my internet, uh, it's down to 2 or 3 bars. If the video cuts out, I'm sorry, guys. But, anyway, yeah, politics. I think my kids know where I stand, but I'm not gonna, I don't, I don't force that on them. I wish, I don't wish this, but my oldest, I want to say stuff so bad, but I just don't. I can't convince them, and I can't tell them which way they're not. I think that politics and religion are two of the most dangerous things that we have going for us right now. And and guys, look, I understand. I understand both camps, and it's hard to stay neutral. It's hard to stay neutral. And I touched base on this with my last my last talk. Um you can only do so much. And there's a lot of people that are a lot older than me, and that's how they think and how they work, and it's just one of those things. Okay, so I have that. I think I think I've hit that. I've hit family expectations. Parents, don't put the expectations on your kids. They'll find where they fit. Goodness gracious. Social media. Social media can be great, and it cannot be so great. There has been so much stuff, strife and bigotry and hate on social media. I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. It's kind of why I'm stepping back away from on Facebook and stuff. I'm doing other kinds of social media that I grew up with. I'm not trying to plug my website, but go to my website. That's that's my social media. It's in the description, guys. Social media. Kids are constant, and they're looking at the rich preppy kids' social media, and they'll sit there and talk to each other as they're face to face, and they're sitting there talking crap about somebody else's thing. Social media is downright evil because there's no. I just said evil. Anyway, you can sit there and talk crap all day long. FYI, the people that come in my chat box, the reason why I don't really look at. I put my chat box up for y'all to be able to chat and talk trash if you want to talk trash about me or in my comments. I'm not going to limit those comments or anything else like that unless it's really, you're going to really have to take me off to do that, to ban you. Because I really just don't care. You're either good or bad. You're talking. And I think that's healthy within social media because people will think that you're not listening and you really are. I had this happen to me at school when I was in school. I would be sitting right there with them and they would be sitting there talking trash. But they thought behind my back, but I was listening and I knew what they were saying. Social media hasn't changed that. And if you get really down deep and people will take screenshots and then those screenshots, you'll come across them and you're like, and they'll have their comments or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that probably came from something I said. Have at it, kids. Have at it. Let's see. I got this big and bold. Stop raising copies. Stop raising copies. Yeah. This was my family. Parents will try to raise the same exact kid they were and copy and paste who you are on your kids. Guys, that's the biggest rebellious thing a kid can do. As they sense that you're wanting them to be just like them. Or your kids believe they should be just like you, or be like their dad, or be like their grandpa, or be like. And let me see what I got. Many versions of ourselves, second chances, retirement, family legacies, and trophies. Guys, like I said, I've touched base on my family legacy, especially on my dad's side. My mom's side didn't really. I mean, I did, but my dad's side was just who I am because of my native history. And my dad's side of the family wanted me to. They wanted that legacy. They wanted me to have it. I do. I am somewhat of that, but I'm totally different than what they probably would think. And that just comes with learning things. Because there's things that my dad's side of the family, well, for a better term, I brought this up, and it's kind of hard for me not to when it comes to legacy. And I'm gonna put this out there, with my Native American things. Um, and it really pisses me off because Not towards, it pisses me off with my family. And I brought this up, and this is, I've seen it so many times. I don't carry a CBID card. I don't do the whole blood quantum thing. I'm not an enrolled member. I never will be. Oh well, that's the way it goes. But on my dad's side of the family, they know they're proud of, but they don't know the family history. They don't know what I know. And I've brought this up before. We were pulling into the cemetery where my dad's buried, and there's an old hot rod car. And I told my wife, I said, stop right here. I said, that's a Colbert's car. And she's like, what are you talking about? So he was standing, he was walking, and I said, he's going to go over to my Aunt Pat's grave. That's where they're buried or whatever. And I said, he's going to walk around and he's going to go stop at Colbert. I guarantee it. And she's like, you're crazy. No, he's not. He's not. I said, yeah, I can tell you right now. Sure enough. So we pull in and and I said, can I help you? And he looked at me, he goes, are you a Colbert? And I said, Charles is my dad. Oh, hey, I haven't seen you in forever. You little. And I, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was around with my uncle when I was out and about of my uncle. Screw you, phone call. Um, he's like, well, you know we're Indian, right? I said, yeah. And I said, yeah, I've been working on most that. And he had a brace on his knee. He says, well, if you can ever get in, let me know so I can get in because I need a new knee. Okay, let me give you this. My legacy is not that, but it's totally the wrong thing to say to me, knowing how horrible the conditions were to my ancestors, to our family. Do not say something like that around me because the people, and I do gripe with the people that's in the tribe because they don't respect they don't, because that is what I am, what I feel the closest to. And granted, guys, you will never see me in normal regalia like you see with the powwows and stuff like that. That's something that I I will never. That's not who I am. That's not. I'm a totally different breed, and I talk to people on this. You have to be your own thing. And there's certain things that I wear that and I've made in respect to my Native American, my indigenousness of the Turtle Island. But I'm also indigenous to this planet. And I understand I still do. I put things on every day, or I have them on all the time that lets people know, hey, he knows his stuff. But my family, my Colbert side, which it's not, it's my aunt's fam, my dad's sisters. They're loaded. They have a warehouse full of Trans Ams and race cars. They're loaded. And he's driving around this car. Well, why are you driving around that car if you need a knee replacement that bad? You can't afford it. I can't. I had to take myself off my pump. Now I'm just doing my shots again. And I'm doing my, oh, prick my finger. And I'm doing stuff that way. Because guess what? I have better control too. He wanted me to tell him as soon as, and get him in as soon as possible, to get him a damn knee replacement. You're telling me you can't afford that? I'm pretty sure you have 3 or 4 cars that you could sell to get your knee replacement. People come at me like that. Uh, uh, sorry guys, that just gets me mad. Let me see. So, have it bold again. Teach them how to think. I touched base on this. So, I've told them what I believe. I've told them to ask me. Let me see what I got. Of course, these are, how do we know? What's the evidence? I could be wrong. What's the other side think? And what questions I haven't asked. All that is great advice for us parents. Uh, my kids, my kids haven't really asked, but deep down inside, my kids know, because my kids know where I was over here, and now they know where I'm over here. And guys, I know that I there's some things that I still haven't deconstructed in my life, and I'm sure, and I've told my kids this. There's no way that I can know everything. Even though I really try to, I can't. And I can't answer some of the questions. I can't show some of the evidence. I have always told them I could be wrong. You know, when you do something and you just know either it's good or it's bad, you just know. You know inside if it's good because you you really believe it. That's the only way you can tell. And sometimes though, Just you feel great about it, but it's not really all that great. Not to somebody else. Somebody else looking in the glass at you. I, I catch myself. I sit back and I watch, but I also feel somebody else is looking over my shoulder. It's kind of like those stupid flock cameras, ain't it? And I have had to say this with my kids about on both sides of the fence on everything. I said, well, this side says this and this side says this. Where do you fall? And granted, Stacy's to me is really far left, and Thomas is really far right. And I bring this up because Caden is in the middle. He's always, he's always, he's like I am. You know, I bring this up in the Bible because it's one of those things. You can't be cold or hot, or you have to be cold or hot, not lukewarm, and you can't straddle the fence. I've done this my whole life. I've straddled the fence my whole life. I've been down the middle. That's just who I am. And people can tell that because I can see it on both ends or both sides. I really can. But the extremism, that's where it gets dangerous, guys. And it's true. And look, you I've tried my best. I've tried my best to be really far left, and I've tried my best to be really far right, and I just can't do it. I can't put myself to do it or think like that. Why? Well, it's simple as because I'm not going to demean someone in the middle that has struggled their whole life and trying to do the right thing, because technically being too far right, left or right, you're ultimately doing the wrong thing because you're alienating yourself from the greatness of then being in the middle. Because what drives the left and the right, the extreme, is nothing but hate. Because there's no empathy. I think that's the word I'm looking for. There's no empathy. Because if you're on the left, far left, you're taking out everybody in the middle. And the far right is taking everybody out, going to the middle, to the left. And there's no compromise. Here we go. Compromise of 1812. Do not, don't get me on this one. There, you have, it's just, anyway. And I'm going to say this, and I got it wrote, and I wrote it. Critical thinking is not rebellion, it's a responsibility. Really is. Think. Think clearly. Think clearly. Don't think because X, Y, and Z thinks this and ABC thinks this. Think clearly and think what is right for you. But also think on what's right for someone else. Because remember, in the long run, you're still a human. And the things that happen, that they ultimately will affect you. Uh-oh. Mama son came running. You okay, love? Okay, so I don't know how long I've been rolling. Um, let them fail and let them be bored. This is what I was talking about. This is the greatest thing, is you let them fail and let them be bored. They're not going to learn anything if you protect them. Is my feet and everything good, love? Yeah, there's a yeah. Yeah, and don't help that the internet's down to 1 bar right now. Sorry guys, if I'm working on that. My Ethernet cord isn't connecting right now, and I'm waiting on an antenna to boost my 5G. I'm sorry guys. Um but the scrape knees, the wrong answers, um the embarrassing moments, consequences, it gives them I cannot resilience. It gives you really, it gives you that. It gives you that I have to learn from the situation. Um, like I said, I touched base on this with the the failure. They're just gonna they have to. They're gonna succeed in things and then they're gonna fail in things. Just the way it is. Uh, I'm trying to the boredom, and I'm I'm like this too. Um, we fill ourselves with phones and tablets and what else I got? Sports, lessons, entertainment. But boredom, and I can speak to this, it creates imagination, creativity, solving, and wonder. Guys, that's me. Uh, um, that's me. You get bored, and when you get bored, you start being very creative. You can art is amazing. Being bored gives you that sense of creativity, wonder, daydreaming, and it gives you clarity. I know you see all the stuff behind me that I've made. I'm actually fixing to start a big project for a family member. Um, it's kind of crazy. Um, because we tend to put things in our face because we're bored. We do think we pick up bad habits. Um, like I said earlier, we pick up bad habits from boredom. Uh, any of y'all Kenny Rogers fan? Uh, love the song "The Gambler." Talks about the boredom finally overtook him, and uh, basically teaching somebody how to play poker, the game of life. Uh, being bored opens your mind to other forms of figuring out problem solving. All the like I'm going to be building this thing, and I've never tried it, and I'm kind of hoping it turns out all right. Um, we'll see. Actually, yes, you will see because I'm going to do videos about it. But gotta let those kids be bored. Part of the reason I do this podcast and the poems and stuff, part of the things I do stuff, is because I'm bored. And granted, been told numerous times that I I procrastinate a lot. But it's not that I'm procrastinating because that I'm meaning to. It's be I'm I'm very much a perfectionist. But my art allows me not to be. And but that's just it in a nutshell. That's where I shine because I'm about to beat this computer. But let them be bored. You can also teach this in other ways. Give them all the tools, give them the the ability to allow their brain to think. There's some things that I'm making right now that I can picture in my head. And guys, I can draw when I want to. Um but when I'm sitting there typing and thinking, it's more clearly to me as I'm sitting there typing and writing out. And guys, yes, I do use chat. You see my thumbnails. You can tell. Just like when I start writing my story again, when I start writing my big long story that I'm starting. Ugh. I I can't draw on the computer. I can guarantee that. I can't take a mouse and relay that down, and I even a pen and with the because with the drawing of the pen, I've tried it. The little board, and then you draw in it, and you don't see it, but it's on the on the screen. Guys, if you know how to do that, that's awesome. I've tried, uh, I've tried, I've tried it so many different ways. And it's just easier for me to think what it is and then type it in and it just happens. And art, I heard my niece say this. She's 12. I hate AI, but AI is not supposed to be for art. I understand that. But when I make the thing, when I have a rough what I want it to be. And then when I go to building it, it's totally different. Just like my fairy garden that I built. That was before I started playing with AI, and even if I played with AI, it was going to turn out the way it did anyway. Actually, I'm in the process of moving all this crap that's beside me, and the fairy garden will be right here, and I will show y'all that when it gets over here. It's been built and everything, but I see my worm over there moving. I don't know if she's waking up or not. So let them be bored. And kids that's watching my podcast, be bored. Stop telling your parents, oh, I'm bored. Well, do something about it if you're bored. Okay. So let me see. I'm going to try to wrap this up. I mean, kind of. And I've touched base on this stuff too. So, um, protecting them from everything. Uh, we've talked about this. Let them experience life, disappointment, love, friendship, conflict, responsibility. Like I said, because one day you're not gonna be here. So you might as well let them experience it before. We've touched base on this, so I can kind of breathe easy because I've kind of said this stuff already. Just replacing it, just trying to make sure that I get all my P's and my Q's. And for you young kids, that means getting my shit straight. My brother. What? Sorry, guys. Doesn't even bother me now. I just put mute and go on. I'm kind of just touching base because I think I've covered a lot of this. What kids really need. It's not perfection, and it's not constant praise or constant criticism. What they need from you as a parent and kids, this is what you need from us, from your mom and dad, your aunts, uncles, whoever you choose to look up to. You need love, safety, questions, engagement, encouragement, honesty, time, listening, and wonder. And we need this as adults too. It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. Um, and I think I've touched on all that today because that's what grows strong, healthy kids. That's what, just what it is. Um, your kids don't need you to know everything. They need you to know they can come to you with anything. I wrote that a long time ago. I don't pretend to know everything, and I'm not going to. My kids know my faults. They know my weaknesses. They know my strengths. They know where daddy is not always 100% correct. I'm not going to be, and I'm not going to expect my kids to be either. As a parent, there's one thing that irritates me, and my kids know it. And that's not standing up for what they believe in and showing disrespect. You can show respect. You can show my kids respect your elders. You can respect your elders, but also you need they can show respect, but they can also have their viewpoint. You can do it in a respectful way, and you can do it in a disrespectful way. My kids know if they show disrespect or show someone with years ahead of them, if they show respect, and they do it in a manner that is respecting, that's not throwing something in them, and because I won't, I I will not throw something in an elder space, and knowing they are wrong on the issue, I will sit back and I will listen, and I can choose either to side with them, not side with them, or I mean, because there's elders that I respect them because they're elderly and they should know, but I don't have to associate with those people on a daily basis. And people will know that, because if I don't respect your opinion, or I'm not going to tell it to your face, and I'm not going to say it to somebody else. That is because my bias is my bias, and it's not for me to put my 2 cents in to somebody else about that person or that belief system. Do I respect pastors and ministers? I will always respect them, but I do not have to agree with them. I do not have to engage in an argument with them because I'm not a debater. There's other people that can do that, but ultimately, me or anybody else is not going to be able to sway the person one way or the other, because they're in their own echo chambers, and the people that they're around think the same way. And there again, I brought this up the other day as a tribal thing. You're going to have your own tribe. And the way I am, like I said before, I am not I am not going to put myself within a framework of that tribal thing, even though I am a peace chief. Uh, my uncle Medicine Horse, the chief above me, he does all that. And he knows where I come in it. And if he'll ask me my opinion, and my opinion is my opinion, and he will come back and tell me, you did your job. That's not my way of things. And I've told a lot of y'all, come talk to me about this stuff. But it's not my job to give you confirmation on anything. You can ask me what I believe, and I'll tell you. I'll straight up say, you don't have to believe that. Believe what you want. So parents, you don't need to know everything, but your kids need to know that they can come to you with anything. That goes from making the choice to having a baby at 14 and come on YouTube, say something. I had a friend of mine uh starting 8th grade, no, 7th. I think it was 7th. Every year she was pregnant, all the way to the time we were seniors. That was her belief system. We talked about it a lot. Oh, that was a bad lag. But every year she was, I don't, I didn't get, we were friends and we talked all the time. But, and I don't think she was really that religious. I think it was just, I don't know. I don't know what, I never got into that with her, but I'd always mess with her, like, you're going to have a kid every year we graduate. Then I don't know how many kids she wound up with, but I haven't talked to her in years. But it's ultimately your choice. And I'm going to put this out there in the ether of YouTube. Guys, we're we're meant to experience this life whichever way. I know where I was going with this. My aunt, okay, was married at 14 to my dad. Okay. I've said this before. And that's what I'm talking about, me and my friend. I mean, she was married. She was, I think, yeah, they married, and anyway, they're still married to this day. Um, but I really don't know much about her parents. Um, but it's ultimately her choice. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, back in the day, that was normal." Well, you're talking to me when I was born in '84. I'm not that old, and it wasn't. She was the only person I went to school with that was 14 and married and had these kids. I don't, like I said, I don't know the family situation. I would love to know. I would love to sit down and talk to her. Hey, maybe that's an idea. Um, but when it comes to Stacy, or when it would come to Thomas or Caden, they would have came to me at 14 and be like, You sure you want this responsibility? Think about that. It's ultimately your kid's decision. And if your kid watching my channel, it's ultimately your call. It's not your mama's and it's not your daddy's. And you're going to have to, and I'm going to be right, just to be honest with you, it's your life. It's nobody else's. You ultimately make that choice. Do I condone it? No. But as a dad, no. But it 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 has to be said. And I think there's a lot of kids, their moms and dads tell them they have to be this way or that way. Your kid's gonna rebel against you no matter what. You're gonna tell them to do this and they're gonna do that. Just the way kids are. They're the same way you were. You gotta think about the way you were back in when you were that young. Goodness gracious. Been on here an hour and a half. So this is, instead of giving your kid an answer for this week, ask ask your kids a question and listen to their response. One day our children will leave our home. They won't take every rule we gave them. They won't remember every lecture. But they'll remember when they felt safe enough to ask the question. They'll remember whether they felt love when they made mistakes. And they'll remember whether we listened or not. Our job isn't to decide who our children will they become. Our job is to help them discover who they already are. So teach them how to think and not what to think. Then step back and watch them become who they were always meant to be. Parents, take time to learn who your kids are, what their likes and dislikes are. It's just to make a better world. I don't have my next video planned out, but I think it's going to be something that the kids could take away from something. I'll have my thoughts together. Stay tuned for the next time I chat with you guys. Guys, go out and explore the world. Y'all have a good one.